With Operation Medic Bag underway, and with it, new content and additions being added to Payday 3, a lot of people have been coming back into the game, returning and new players alike. For a lot of these people though, a big question they will have is what skills should they get? After all, there are a lot of skills in the game, and it can be confusing at first trying to figure out what skills you should take. As you'd expect though, there are some skills in Payday 3 which are really good and are insanely strong once you start to mix them together with the right skills. Having played a good amount of Payday 3, arguably more so than anyone reasonably should have, I've had a lot of time to experiment and tweak around with the different skills available in the game, and have found what I consider to be some of the best skills, as well as some of the best combinations of skills you can get. So, I've got this video here just in time before the Boys in Blue DLC drops to go over some of Payday 3's best skills and combinations of skills, and how you can make the best usage of them to pull off perfect heist after perfect heist, and even carry entire lobbies with them. When it comes to strong skills and skill combos, we of course have to address the elephant in the room, being that of Plate Up and Replenish. Plate Up allows you to regenerate any of the non-permanent damage you've taken to your current armor chunk if you make an ammo pickup while having grit, all on a 2-second cooldown. Replenish allows you to automatically pick the ammo of enemies you kill as long as you have edge active. Now, of course, you can start to see where the strength and the synergy of these two skills lie, can't you? If you have both grit and edge active, you can kill an enemy and then instantly regenerate the non-permanent damage you've taken to your current armor chunk. This gets even better if you're running the adaptive armor, as since the adaptive armor doesn't take any permanent damage to its chunks, you can make one kill and then instantly restore your entire chunk. So, if you play your cards around the adaptive armor with these two skills, you can play incredibly aggressively and basically never die, given that you don't overextend and are able to keep on making ammo pickups. Ironically enough though, the second set of strong skills we're looking at is Medic Aced, Combat Medic and Code Blue, which are all focusing on reviving teammates who have been downed. Medic Basic lets us revive teammates 20% faster, as well as giving us an additional 2 charges on our medic bags if we choose to bring them. The Ace version of Medic then gives us grit whenever we start to revive a teammate, and then gives us an additional 40% damage reduction while reviving teammates as long as we have grit active. As percentage additions and subtractions in Payday 3 are additive and not multiplicative, this means that we'll have a total of a 50% damage reduction if we're reviving a teammate while we have grit active. But wait, it gets even better. The normal armor types, being the light ballistic lining, medium ballistic lining, standard lining, and the heavy ballistic lining, have a 25% base damage reduction, meaning that you'll have a whopping 75% damage reduction while reviving while you have grit active. Now, the adaptive armor only has a 5% damage reduction, so it's only going to be a 55% damage reduction while reviving while you have grit active. Sure, it's a little bit limited in how long you'll be able to have that massive damage reduction up for, as it's only while you're reviving, but with how little damage you'll be taking, you'll be able to make some incredibly risky revives. Combat Medic then makes use of the grit that we get from Medic Aced, as if we make a revive while we have grit active, it will give us and the teammate we're reviving 5 seconds of damage immunity after they've been revived. If this sounds strong, well, that's because it is. At a surface level, the skill already seems pretty strong. You can make a revive on a teammate, then the two of you are practically given a get out of jail free card to run into safety without any risk. However, it can be used, or more accurately, abused, to make fighting dozers incredibly easy. If a teammate goes down and there's a dozer nearby, you can revive them and then use the 5 seconds of damage immunity you get to get right in the dozer's face and suffer basically no repercussions for doing so. Code Blue gives us Rush whenever a teammate gets downed or disabled by a cloaker or a zapper. With Rush active, we also revive teammates 30% faster. With Combat Medic Basic and Code Blue, we revive teammates 50% faster, granted that we have Rush active. This lets us pull off revives even quicker, letting us pull off even riskier revives as we can finish a revive and get the 5 seconds of damage immunity incredibly quickly. All these skills come together to make reviving our teammates incredibly easy, letting us help our teammates up incredibly quickly, taking small amounts of damage while reviving them, and then giving us both 5 seconds of damage immunity we can use to run to safety, or to play aggressively with. Throwables are pretty underused by most players in Payday 3, but given that you build into them correctly, they can be amazing for dealing with multiple cops at once, either stunning them or just flat out killing them. Scrounger gives us a 10% chance of replenishing one of our throwables whenever we make an ammo pickup while we have edge active. 10% seems small, but when you're consistently killing cops and making ammo pickups, it works out to you're given a pretty consistent supply of throwables. Well, given that Lady Luck is on your side. Frugal Throw then also gives us a 20% chance for any throwable we throw to be instantly replenished, which allows us to keep a much more constant supply of throwables as we don't have to rely upon Scrounger's 10% replenishment chance as much. Demolitionist gives us a nice buff in that the area of effect of explosions caused by our throwables gets increased by 20%, letting us be able to hit more cops with our explosions. Overcoat then allows for our throwables to explode instantly upon impact with the surface, be it the environment or a cop themselves. This makes throwables significantly more reliable at dealing with cops, as you can throw a grenade and have it instantly explode and cause its effect rather than having to wait a few seconds for it to do so, letting you play a lot more aggressively. Extra munitions then increases the total amount of throwables we have by 2, letting us have a much larger supply of throwables available to us at any given time. As I was saying earlier, throwables are pretty underutilized, but with these skills, you can make them incredibly useful and extremely reliable for killing, or even just stunning large groups of cops all at once. The edge grade rush buffs are a core part of how Payday 3's skills work, and by extension, how the game plays as a whole. A key part of the buffs though is the micromanagement of them, having to gain them, refresh them, and then make sure there's as little downtime as possible, as without them, you miss out on buffs from some skills and the stat increases the buffs give themselves. Of course though, there is an incredibly easy way to get and then constantly maintain a source of edge and grit. In its basic form, Enforcer gives us grit if we kill 2 enemies within 5 meters in 4 seconds. Then in its ace form, if we have grit and kill 1 enemy within 5 meters, we gain edge. This is a pretty easy way for us to gain edge and grit, not having to do anything weird or overly cumbersome, just needing us to kill enemies who are close to us, which is pretty easy to do. Combat Reload then refreshes our edge and grit if we reload a weapon as long as its magazine or clip isn't fully empty. Now this is what really brings it all together, as with Combat Reload refreshing our edge and our grit, we could get edge and grit once at the beginning of a heist, and if we're constantly reloading, we can just keep the buffs infinitely cycling. Also, a little trick you can do with Combat Reload is that you can just purposely waste bullets so you can reload to proc the effect. If the edge and grit buffs are about to end, but your weapons have got full magazines and clips, you can just shoot a single shot off and then reload it, and it'll still refresh the buffs like it normally would. At its core, Payday 3 is a game that revolves around a war of attrition, or at least used to. It's sort of changed as of late. You will eventually run out of armor, and you will also eventually run out of health as well. Though, with some skills, you can practically start to drown in resources through hostage trades, having first aid kits and armor repair kits for days with the right investment put towards them. Manipulator Ace makes our hostages count as an additional hostage, meaning that for every trade we do, we get 2 resources per trade. Silver Tongue makes employees, guards, and members of law enforcement count as an additional hostage, adding on an additional resource when trading them. Negotiator then adds an additional 2 resources whenever we trade a hostage. This comes together to let us get a ton of resources whenever we do hostage trades, with 4 resources if we trade a normal civ, and 5 if we trade an employee, guard, or member of law enforcement. It's absolutely insane as well, given just how much mileage a single first aid kit or a single armor repair kit can get you if you know how to use them properly. Menacing then also lets us shout at cops that aren't special units to make them surrender and become hostages, letting us trade them in between assault waves. You're sadly limited to only having 1 cop be able to surrender and become a hostage at any given time, but if you time it right by taking a cop hostage during an assault, trading them when the assault ends, then dominating and trading more cops before the next assault starts, you can get a ton of resources. Going back to Payday 3's War of Attrition design, it's not just hostage trade skills you can use to get crazy amounts of resources, you can also do it with deployable skills. If you max out your deployable, getting Medic Basic and Extra Charge for Medic bags, Ammo Specialist Basic and Fully Loaded for Ammo bags, then Tank Basic and Extra Plates for Armor bags, you'll have 1 deployable bag with 6 charges. Deep Pockets then gives us an extra deployable bag, but both now have 2 less charges, leaving us at 2 bags with 4 charges each, for a total of 8 charges. Then, Stockpile gives us an additional 2 charges for our deployable bags, effectively undoing the penalty given to us by Deep Pockets. This then gives us 2 bags of 6 charges each, for a total of 12 charges. Having a total of 12 charges of a deployable of your choice is super strong, even if you can't see why instantly. On ammo bags it's probably the least useful, given how weak ammo bags are at the moment, but I guess you can spam and miss as many shots as you want and consistently enjoy the damage buff from high grain. Armor bags get very nice usage out of it, as you have 12 charges you can use to repair your armor. Mix that with how easy it is to sustain your armor chunks on the adaptive armor, and you have a nigh unkillable setup with that. Medic bags definitely get the best usage out of it, as with the addition of the Fortitude skill line, you can use those 12 charges to keep your adrenaline up for an incredibly long amount of time and enjoy the massive amount of strength you'll have with it. Bag moving is a staple of the gameplay loop of the Payday series. I mean, people don't jokingly call it bag moving simulator for nothing. With skills in the Transporter skill line though, you can make moving bags a breeze, and even be able to move multiple bags at once. Transporter Basic gives us or refreshes rush whenever we pick up a bag, and removes our rush if we drop a bag. You can also use the fact that it gives rush on picking up bags to our advantage, as if you're about to run out of rush from when you first picked up the bag, you can simply drop it and pick it back up to get rush again. Beast of Burden then removes the movement speed penalty applied to us whenever we carry bags as long as we have rush active. With Transporter Basic, this means that when we pick up a bag, we instantly get rush, and we'll basically never have the movement speed penalty actually applied to us when we're carrying bags, and we'll actually move faster than if we weren't carrying a bag because of the movement speed increase from rush, a very nice benefit. Then, Powerlifter lets us carry 2 bags at once, giving us an even larger movement speed penalty if we're carrying a second bag. With Beast of Burden negating the movement speed penalty if we have rush, and Transporter Basic giving us rush, we basically get to carry 2 bags at once with no penalty, and actually, to our benefit. This is incredibly useful on heists with a lot of bag moving. As well, you can carry double the amount of bags than you'd normally be able to, and be able to move those 2 bags incredibly quickly. I don't really think I could talk about the best skills in Payday 3 without mentioning Precision Shot and Cutting Shot. Precision Shot makes your weapon do extra damage based off the magnification of your scope, as long as you are aiming down the sights of the scope and have edge active. Of course, the skill is only limited to weapons that have access to scopes such as the SA and the Rheinfeld 900S, but the strength those weapons get from it is insane. With the increase to damage from having a scope with the skill, the SA can one-shot body shot. On the Rheinfeld 900S it's kinda wasted, since it already one-shot body shots. Cutting Shot is similar, making your weapon be able to penetrate an additional target as long as you're aiming down the sights of a scope and have edge active. With this, you can just look straight down a hallway, start firing vaguely at where the cops are, and you'll rack up kills like it's nothing. Armour repair kits are pretty cool, as they let you repair a damaged chunk of your armour, but outside of that, they didn't really do anything else. I mean, the clue is in the name. It's an armour repair kit, not an armour creation kit. It's cool on the normal armours, but what if you're running adaptive armour, where you never take any permanent damage to your armour chunks, or in a worst case scenario, what if you lose all your armour chunks? This is where Clean Slate comes in, allowing you to use an armour repair kit to repair a single chunk of armour if you've lost all of your armour chunks. This can be incredibly good for increasing your survivability, as if you play recklessly and have the habit of breaking your armour chunks regularly, you can just use armour repair kits to make sure you'll always have at least one chunk of armour. Though, there are a lot of skills in Payday 3, and I think something worth clarifying is that just because these skills are strong, that doesn't mean you have to use them. At the end of the day, Payday, and well, I guess all video games really, are just about having fun. Yeah, you have some really strong options like the ones I've mentioned in this video, but that doesn't mean you have to use them if you don't find them enjoyable. Like, hell, you won't catch me using Precision Shot. I just think it makes the game incredibly boring actually. But that just about covers it though. I'll admit, this isn't an entirely comprehensive guide on the game's strongest skills and skill combinations. There are some I missed purely for the sake of being concise, and also just not thinking that they were strong enough to be mentioned. If you think there were some skills I should have mentioned, be sure to drop a comment about it, and let other people know about the skills you thought I was sleeping on. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe, all that sort of stuff, as it really does help me out and gets my videos out in the algorithm and lets them get seen by even more people. As usual though, I've been Cookie Dough, and have a good one.